Okay, hi guys, welcome back. First, sorry for the delay on this video. I was having some issues with my recording um, application. Next, I want to tell you what we're going to be doing with this video really quickly. So we're going to go over the schedule a little bit so you'll know what is coming for next week. I'll be adding another video next week as well, but I want to go over it really quickly. And also I'll be telling you guys kind of what the whole thing is with this portfolio situation and why you'll be using a website basically to do your portfolio instead of a traditional like paper one or even a document. So I have not received a whole lot of emails from you guys about having technological issues. I'm going to assume that that means you're not having technological issues. If you are having issues, please get a hold of me as soon as possible so we don't end up running into a deadline and then the technology is the issue instead of, something like writing or planning related. Um, I have heard from a few of you over Remind. The app is like very handy and it lets us get in contact with each other really quickly. So if you haven't downloaded it yet, please do. And don't hesitate to email me in the middle of the night or to to message me through Remind in the middle of the night. That's fine. I probably won't get back to you until the morning, but I really want you guys to feel comfortable and at ease sending messages to me whenever you need to and whenever you are working. Right, and I know a lot of you guys have like day jobs and all kinds of stuff and maybe up in the middle of the night working on stuff. So, with that said, this coming Monday, what I want you guys to do is explore Google Sites, Wix, and Weebly. If there are other free website platforms, you can use them and explore those instead. But Wix, Weebly, and Google Sites are the ones that my students usually use. Right, you'll be taking a look at the portfolio handout, and we'll probably take a glance at that here in a moment as well. And you're going to watch video 2, which is this very video. So the reason I wanted to put a video up is so that we can kind of like look at some of these things together and I can kind of like talk you through this whole portfolio situation. So I'm going to switch this over, right? This is the Monday folder for week 2, right? And I have your assignment for the discussion boards, right? 250 words and explain which website platform you want to use, right? And again, you can say what you do like, what you don't like, why you're using it, whatever, right? Here's links to Wix, Weebly, and Google Sites. Here's the portfolio handout, which you really do need to read, and we'll go over that in sort of a foreshortened way here in a second. And then what these are this is a template that kind of explains what your portfolio should look like, and these are 2 student examples, and they're examples of portfolios that did a really good job, and kind of like pulled in the kind of multimodal stuff that I would like to see in your portfolios. So where is that now? Okay, so this is the portfolio template. If my computer will work, okay. And this is using Google Sites, okay. And all of this stuff is changeable in Google Sites, right? Like I think this is like the default background here, and you can change the background, you can change the font, you can change everything. And I want you guys to change everything and really personalize it to be what you want it to be, right? And so my colleague Mitch Marty actually kind of added explanations of each section to show you guys like this is where you add this is where you add that, right? Here's the bio, right? And then here's a section on MLA citations. This is about that website, project 1, right? And he didn't actually add project 1, but that is what you will do. So right when you guys add, right, you finish project 1, you'll upload it to your website and have it here, right? And it says create a subpage for your project 1 reflection and include project 1 reflection here, right? So you'd have project 1, you'd have your reflection, which we'll talk about later, but your reflections are basically like a very brief additional piece of writing that you do, kind of like exploring what you learned through the project itself and talking about how that learning process collects or connects with the student learning outcomes. And we're going to go all those way in depth before you have to even think about doing a reflection, right? And he has project 2 here, and he has the different sections for the media lab and the reflection, and like I'm not totally sure what the test page is for, but here it is, right? So he actually has uploaded part of his syllabus or whatever, but you could put your draft here probably as something that you could do. And I don't know if I'm going to ask you guys to do that, but that's something that could be done. It would show the kind of changes you made between the draft and the final like online web page version, right? And here's project 3. Here is a really cool thing that I guess he or one of his students created at some point as part of a creative revision, right? And here are the learning outcomes, right? So, right, for each project, you'll need to upload your outcome reflections that are associated with the project. What you upload on the site should be a revision of the ones you create for the discussion board and get feedback on, right? You don't have to do it this way, right? You can do the learning outcomes in a different sort of way, in like a narrative form, or on one page instead of multiple different pages like this. But this is also a really handy way to do it. So this is the template, right? This is basically like a skeleton of what a portfolio website would look like or could look like. But if you guys have built websites before, or if you have other ideas about how you want to do it, like you can do it much, much differently. Like I think student example like this is another one that is it's really well done. And you'll see them using pictures and short videos and organizing it in like a substantially like different sort of way. Hold on, where's the other one? And here's yet another portfolio website that was done in quite a different way, right? So this one has longer pages, right? The font's done differently. The whole format of it is done differently. You'll see like they only have, because the page is so long, you have a totally different sort of like setup for the way that they're including and introducing information to the viewer, right? So just take a look at all 3 of these portfolio websites and start thinking about how you want to lay your own out, right? How do you want to set up a portfolio that you can use throughout the semester and upload, right, your short writing assignments to, upload different like reflections and stuff to your major projects 1, 2, and 3, and your third one is the creative revision, should all be uploadable in some way to the portfolio. And so this is like an ongoing project that we're kind of start the first stages of now and continue working on until the end of the semester. And so at the end of the semester, you'll have something that I guess shows that you are able to not only write, revise, draft, but create a really like solid, impressive, and effective website to demonstrate all of that writing and learning, you know, and also show that you are capable of using multimodal elements and sort of like navigating a variety of different sorts of media platforms to put together, you know, a portfolio or something that shows how smart you are and like all of the cool stuff you've done over the semester. So take a look at those and figure out what you like about them and the way they're laid out and what you don't like about them, and then explore these different platforms and see which one you think is the best option. So now I'm going to go over the portfolio handout. Whoops, how do we end up here? Okay. So, here is your assignment handout for the portfolio, right? It's an electronic document that you will create in either Google Sites, Wix, or Weebly. And it gives you the opportunity to demonstrate what you've learned over the semester, and that you have not just, again, the ability to write, but to communicate through like a multitude of different media forms. So the task is, there's 6 major tasks actually in this assignment. So using the area of the New Mexico outcomes for first year composition listed below, that's the SLOs. You're going to write reflections for every student learning outcome. These reflections will basically be arguments for each SLO. What you're going to do is start with the following assertion and establish your argument from there, right? Here's what I've learned from this semester for this particular SLO. So like in terms of like there's an SLO for revision, you're going to say, this is what I've learned this semester about, you know, revising. And then you'll kind of give examples of what you learned about revising and how you learned it. So that's what they're saying here when you say provide evidence, right? Is you're providing evidence that you learned something, which is basically evidence that like in the form of a story, saying, okay, cool, I learned how to do this and this is how I did it. Okay, you're going to revise your reflections, right? So you'll be writing reflections on the SLOs throughout the semester. For the portfolio, you'll need to revise your reflections based on the instructor, peer, and tutor feedback. The extent of the revision necessary will depend on how close the reflection was to being portfolio ready when you turned it in. Your reflection should be the best possible version you're able to achieve. So when you write a reflection for project 1, right, I'll get back to you and say like, okay, cool, can you clarify this part of your reflection a little bit, or can you clarify that part of your reflection a little bit? And then you'll eventually have a really good reflection that you'll add to your portfolio. And repurpose one of your major writing assignments. So you're going to take project 1 or project 2 and turn it into a creative revision. And again, with your creative revision, what you're going to do is basically change it somehow. You're going to either like change the media, right? You're going to say, okay, I'm going to take this from an essay and take the same idea and turn it into a video, or turn it into a podcast, or turn it into a song, or turn it into a painting. And then you're going to write about the process of transforming that essay or that idea, and what you learned from it, and how you managed to sort of like keep the main idea or argument of that paper intact while changing the format somehow. Right, and then the rest of this is kind of like obvious, right? You're gonna have a homepage for your portfolio that introduces yourself, and it'll talk about what you've learned. And then again, make sure that your portfolio is multimodal. So try to include videos, try to include like sound effects if you want to include sound effects, try to include lots of pictures, definitely include links to other pages. You can like literally embed like YouTube tutorials and all kinds of stuff into your website. So, and here's some helpful hints, and we'll be going over these kind of off and on throughout the semester. And here is a copy of the student learning outcomes that I was referring to a second ago, right? So, and we'll be going over each of these over and over and over again as the semester progresses. So just read through these and kind of like think about them as we go forward, and try to like have them in the back of your head somewhere as we're like learning and practicing and doing different things. And then here is what will be your rubric for my grading. It basically tells you how to get a good grade in your final portfolio, right? Your final portfolio is not due until the very end of the semester, but I wanted to let you know now where all of this work is going and why I'm asking you today, right, to put together the beginnings of your website. Because again, that's something that we're going to be working on throughout the semester, and I don't want you to like have to put together a whole portfolio at the very end of the semester and end up with issues. So so that's everything I think for Monday. Where are we? Yep. So also on Monday, right, after looking at the different types of website platforms, you'll have a discussion board post, which is linked in here already, where you'll just talk about the different platforms and like the one you want to use. Wednesday, right, what I want you to do is to actually start creating one of your, like choose whichever platform you want to use, start making a website, and it can literally just be one page for right now if you want. Like if you get excited and you enjoy it, go crazy. But the absolute minimum is one page. and that could